Good evening. I want to welcome everybody to the June 18th, 2018 meeting of the Jersey Village City Council. I want to call the meeting to order, announce a quorum is present. Madam Secretary, quorum is present.
Yes.
Very good. Moving to item B on our agenda this evening, the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's pledge and prayer will be conducted by Frank Marr, our Assistant Fire Chief. Frank?
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Everybody just take a few seconds to relax from our busy day, worrying about the storms and what all is going on in the world today. Lord, I ask you to bless our leaders as they make decisions tonight. Lead them as they work on our budget. We ask you to bless our first responders as we stay ready for the storms to come. As we start the summer months, bless us as we travel. As temperatures go up, tempers grow shorter and shorter. Bless our Public Works Department as they work outside in this heat. Bless our council as they listen to our concerns of our citizens. We ask for these prayers in your name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you very much, Frank. Item C on our agenda this evening is a joint public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission and Jersey Village City Council. Chairman Deborah Mergel, I see you're in attendance. Do you have a quorum this evening? It's good enough for me. So I will now call to order this joint public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission. Everyone desiring to speak should complete a public hearing comment card and present the card to the city secretary. Each speaker shall give his name and address and be given 5 minutes to present information during the meeting. The purpose of today's hearing is to receive written and oral comments from any interested persons concerning the preliminary report of the Planning and Zoning Commission on the proposal to amend Chapter 14 of the Code and Ordinances of the City of Jersey Village, Texas, by authorizing a revision of the official zoning map so that property located at 8805 Jones Road, 12551 Steepway, and 8805 Jones Road, letter A, and described as Tracks 1 and 1A, Block 1, Jones Road Plaza, shall be changed from Zoning District F, 1st Business District, to Zoning District J, 3rd Business District. Madam Secretary, do we have any comment cards on this item?
No, sir.
Does anybody wish to speak on this item this evening? Seeing none, and seeing that there's nobody desiring to speak, I'll now close this public hearing concerning the preliminary report of the Planning and Zoning Commission on the proposal to amend Chapter 14 of the Code Ordinances of the City of Jersey Village, Texas, by authorizing revision of the official zoning map so that the property located at 8805 Jones Road, 12251 Steepway, and 8805 Jones Road, letter A, and described as Tract 1, 1A, Block 1, Jones Road Plaza, shall be changed from Zoning District F, the 1st Business District, to Zoning District J, the 3rd Business District. That will now close the joint public hearing. Thank you, Deborah. Item D this evening, presentations. Presentation on the Ploy of the Month. City Manager Austin Blease.
Mayor, councilors, and citizens, tonight we get to honor Officer Blake McElhaney. He goes above and beyond for the citizens and job duties by walking on foot for crime prevention through areas and house watches. He always ensures that his fellow officers are helped in any way that they needed to be helped, including booking paperwork, holding, processing a scene, or transporting. His perfectionism and professionalism ensures that every aspect of his job requirements are met and always exceeded. Those are just some of the few things that the nominee wrote about nominating Officer McElhaney. And after Officer McElhaney was selected to be the June Employee of the Month, we learned of his life-saving heroism, which saved a 7-month-old little girl. While he was off duty, Officer McElhaney came across a bad accident. He shielded the trapped baby girl from glass while Sheriff's deputy got to the scene and helped lift the dashboard enough to take some pressure off of the baby until the Spring Volunteer Fire Department arrived and could free the baby from the vehicle. Mayor, councilors, these are just a few of the many reasons we are proud to have Officer McElhaney as part of our team, and I'm honored to name him the Employee of the Month for the month of June 2018. Officer McElhaney. also get one of these. We typically present these early, but since night shift. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Austin. Congratulations, officer. Moving to citizen comments this evening. Citizens who signed a card and wish to speak to the city council will be heard at this time in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Unless the subject matter of the comment is on the agenda, the city council and staff council members are prevented from discussing the subject and may respond only with statements of factual information and existing policy. Citizens are limited to 5 minutes for their comments to city council. Mark Malloy.
Hi, my name's Mark Malloy, and I live at 7803 Hamilton Circle, past city council member for the city of Jersey Village, Texas. Citizens' comments for the 06/18/2018 city council meeting. Please make my verbal comments and documents given to the city secretary a permanent record of this meeting. And so I'm back again to talk about the city's revenue waste on the Jersey Meadows Golf Course. And so anyway, basically, the way I feel about it is that the Jersey Meadows land area should be a free access area for the citizens that are funding its existence, just like Carol Fox Park and Clark Henry Park. The golf course land area needs to be built out into a very effective stormwater detention basin that can also be utilized as low-maintenance public park space for all of the Jersey Village citizens to enjoy. And with the current plan that the city has, I have concerns about the development that is going to occur on the other side of US 290 in the Jersey Village crossing area. And I have concerns about the water that is going to come into the north side of the city from storm water runoff that I don't feel is going to be detained and kept in that area to keep it from coming over into the north side where the original residential homes are, and possibly could add to the flooding problem that we already have. So anyway, I've talked about how much money the golf course is costing the citizens and will cost the citizens, and as of today, with the budget that they have to spend money on different things they want to spend on the golf course, plus the money that they've already spent, plus the money that will be spent in the future that's a guaranteed cost from debt service, principal, and interest payments, it's, to me, coming at over $20 million. Okay, so anyway, I've read a lot of this over the last couple of months, but I haven't been able to get it all read. So anyway, like I said, from what I see here, it's going to be $20 million, and that will go up because I know they're going to spend more money on it in the future. And so on that $20 million, over $20 million, total city tax revenue wasted or budgeted to be wasted on the golf course as of now, none of this money, the $20 million over, is coming from profits made by golf course operations. The above total amount of money is just what the city government has spent already or has budgeted to spend as of now. They will continue to spend more taxpayer subsidized money in the future years on the golf course. The above total is from city documents. The real number, I believe, is going to be much, much higher. The city government is now going to build a completely new golf course clubhouse, and the conservative amount is over $1 million, which I believe is not counting many other costs involved. The actual cost to build their sewer water treated wastewater supplemental golf course irrigation project per engineering estimates is over $1 million. The Jersey Village City Government has posted previous estimated costs of $760,000 and $800,000 in the past as cost to do the complete project for the golf course supplemental irrigation project. But now I see at this meeting the upgrades to the Castle Bridge sewer water treatment plant to meet the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality Board TCEQ requirements to enable the city to utilize it to water the golf course will be per agenda item KO8, $1,523,524. And I don't know if that includes the additional cost to get the water from the sewer plant to the golf course. How much is the total real cost of their project going to actually be? The waste of your tax dollars will continue, and you don't get any use of the property unless you're willing to pay an estimated average cost of $30 per visit greens fees or a driving range fee. The city government is going to try and sell the idea that the golf course clubhouse can be accessed by all Jersey Village citizens, even if they are not golf course
Time.
Okay.
Next card I have is William Beasley.
Handout clerks, appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, let me keep going. I'm William Beasley. I live at 14910 Lakeview, and my children also live in Jersey Village. And one of them even flooded in the tax day flood. I'm here today to comment on the property known as Jersey Meadows Golf Course. I became interested in this asset because its planned role in flood control and the city's apparent commitment to operating it as a golf course. No one disputes that it loses money as a golf course. The city's own figures put it at just under $600K per year, not counting the cost of money. In those figures, in fact, those figures show that the golf course has not made money from operations for the last 10 years. Jersey Village citizens pay for all the major capital purchases and make up its cash shortfall. This doesn't seem to alarm anybody in the Jersey Village City Council. I've spoken with several council members. They all seem convinced that the citizens of JV want the golf course, no matter what the cost. It's nice and green, and golf is an upscale sport, but few taxpayers are aware that they're subsidizing this enterprise by about $250 a household. Asking the citizens if they like the golf course isn't like asking if they like the pools and the parks. Of course they like pools and parks. Many JV citizens use them, and few non-citizens do, except at swim meets. So in contrast, the golf course depends mainly on outsiders for its very existence. JV doesn't come close to having enough golfers with the time and money to pay the fees and use the course. It draws its users from the surrounding area. I'm even told it advertises in Dallas. Drawing non-residents is used to justify the hotel occupancy tax subsidy. Perhaps a few golfers stay at Motel 6 and golf at the Jersey Meadows. I don't know. To most of the population, it's just something they drive by or drive through on the way to somewhere else. So I have to ask, is it really being run for us? Look, we also like the First Stop convenience store on Senate. If you ask people if they want it, most would say yes, but we don't buy it and operate it at a loss. If they need a new refrigerator, we don't buy it for them. We would expect them to make enough money to buy their own refrigerator. If they wanted a new facility, they would go figure out in advance how to pay for it and fund it. If they asked JV to buy them a new building, we just laughed them out of town. So this brings me to my point. The City Council hasn't learned how to make a profit with the golf course, and no one seems concerned. Because the golf course doesn't make money, there's no reserve fund or savings account for a new clubhouse or a cheaper source of irrigation water. You're asking the citizens to pay for that. And make no mistake, if you build a capital asset for the benefit of an enterprise and you don't expect them to pay you back, that's a subsidy. If you make up their cash shortfalls, that's a bailout. So no one on the council thinks there's something wrong with this picture. In fact, if you think the citizens have overwhelmingly approved of it, I think it's all in how you ask the question. Send each taxpayer a bill for their subsidy and see how long they want the golf course. I send them a bill for the proposed clubhouse and the gray water plant and gauge their enthusiasm. By putting the political question aside for now, I'm really concerned that you're not concerned. I can't find a single forecast or projection that a new clubhouse will make the golf course profitable. Before you spend the money, shouldn't you see if you'll ever get it back? Mark Twain famously said, I'm more concerned with return of my money than return on my money. Golf as a sport is in decline, and many golf courses are being closed or repurposed as floodwater retention ponds. And I've attached Mark Ploy's analysis of that. Many of those that do survive do so by becoming more expensive and more exclusive. That is, by putting the club in clubhouse. So I asked JV Council to delay further subsidies to the golf course until they have a rational business model that predicts profitability. Not some gut feel BS, but real projections that match other surviving golf courses in the area. This was done before it was purchased for $7 million. Let's do it again before we spend another 3 or 4. And this time make a projection.
Time, Bill.
This time make a projection that we can hold the JV City Council accountable for, since you didn't live up to the last one. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Laura, do we have any other citizen comment cards?
No, sir.
Very good. Moving to item F of our agenda this evening, City Manager's Report. Austin, please.
Mayor and councilors, the report is in front of you here tonight, and we're happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
Any comments for Austin?
Austin, one thing that I noted that I thought was really important to bring up, I noticed that the golf course had its best May since 2012, and that it's been routinely making revenues that have topped the revenues for same month going back multiple years. Does the golf course staff have any reason to believe that that trend is going to stop anytime soon, or do they believe that this is a sustainable trend?
The weather for the previous 3 months has certainly helped. We're seeing a slight decline in rounds played through June just because of the weather. Once again, it's getting hot out there. But with the courses around us that have closed down, a lot of those golfers are coming over here, and so the staff is pretty confident that things are looking up for the long term.
With the forecast for rain over the next few days, Kevin, have your crews gone out and cleared out any trouble spots?
Yes, we've cleared out several low-lying areas with the street sweeper, as well as we pre-positioned the sawhorses in case the roads flood.
Thank you.
What about the draining of water? I know, was it prior to Harvey where we used the pump to drain water from the lakes?
Yeah, if we get any information that the storm is going to come in higher, we'll set the pump out there at the bottom of the reservoir and pump into the bayou so as to allow more detention into the detention pond. It's sitting in the back of the building.
Any other questions for Austin or staff? Very good. Thanks, Austin. Item G of our evening is the consent agenda. Does any member of council wish to take an item from the consent agenda placed on the regular agenda? Seeing none, looking for a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's been a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Take us into item H this evening, close the regular session and move into executive session. City Council is now going to retire to a closed session at 7:19 p.m. pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071. Consult with attorney in Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property in connection with the following items. Pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071. Consult with the attorney in Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property. Consult with the city attorney regarding cause number 106-1305, Jones Road Holding Limited versus the City of Jersey Village, Texas. County Civil Court at Law number 2, Harris County, Texas, and cause number 1074704, Jones Road Limited versus the City of Jersey Village, Texas. County Civil Court at Law number 3, Harris County, Texas. And item 2, pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property. Conduct deliberations regarding the purchase of property for a new public works facility. We will return to open session and continue with the remainder of tonight's agenda after the closed session deliberations are concluded. Moving back into the regular session, item 1, discuss and take appropriate action concerning items discussed in executive session regarding cause number 1061305, Jones Road Holding Limited versus the City of Jersey Village, Texas, County Civil Court at Law number 2, Harris County, Texas, and cause number 1074704, Jones Road Project Limited versus the City of Jersey Village, Texas, County Civil Court at Law 3, Harris County, Texas, including without limitation, consideration, and approval of a proposed settlement of the Jones Road Project Limited case. No action was taken on this item. Moving to item 2 this evening, discuss and take appropriate action concerning negotiations regarding the purchase of property for a new public works facility. Looking for a motion at this time.
I make a motion that we authorize the city manager to engage in negotiations regarding the purchase of property for a new public works facility.
I'll second.
There's been a motion second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We're going to actually skip forward in our agenda this evening. We're going to move to item 10. Our planning and zoning members are present this evening, so we're going to move to item 10. Consider resolution number 2018-41, receiving the Planning and Zoning Commission's final report as it relates to the proposed amended Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Jersey Village, Texas, by authorizing revision of the official zoning map so that property located at 8805 Jones Road, 12251 Steeple Way, and 8805 Jones Road in A, described as Tracks 1 and 1A, Block 1 Jones Road Plaza, shall be changed from Zoning District F, the 1st Business District, to Zoning District J, the 3rd Business District. Chairman Deborah Merkel.
Thank you. You have our final report. As you'll recall, there was no public comment on this matter. We have an issue where this change from 1st zoning district to 3rd zoning district will be consistent with the current use of the property, and also District J. There's some adjacent properties that are in District J as well.
Okay, any questions for Deborah? This is just a motion to receive the resolution. Item 11 is actual discussion on the ordinance itself. Thank you, Deborah. I'm looking for a motion on the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
There's been a motion second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item 11. Consider ordinance number 2018-13, amending Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Jersey Village, the Jersey Village Department Code, by authorizing revision of the official zoning map as set out in Section 14-82, so the property located at 8805 Jones Road, 12251 Steeple Way, and 8805 Jones Road A, described as Tracks 1 and 1A, Block 1 Jones Road Plaza, shall be changed from Zoning District F, the 1st Business District, to Zoning District J, the 3rd Business District, continuing other findings, provisions relating to the subject, providing a severability clause, providing for appeal, providing for penalty as provided by Section 1-8 of the Code, and providing an effective date. Kevin Hagerich, Director of Public Works.
I really have nothing to add, other than I recommend you accept the report.
Christian, do you have any comments? Can you give us a little background on this real quick?
Yes, sir. The buildings appear to have been developed in contravention of the governing zoning codes at the time of the service warehousing type, which is not allowed in Zoning District F.
This is to bring this particular property into compliance.
And to bring the tenants who are occupying it, some who were there before I even came over here 10 years ago, to bring them into compliance, to bring them into conformity.
Mayor, it would also allow for some new tenants to come in that would be consistent with J and more suitable for that area.
Any questions for Christian or staff?
Christian, it was, well, Deborah, is there any concern of any adverse effect on anyone over this change?
There has not been any concern, and we have other ordinances that will ensure that a noisome or bothersome use will not be placed there. Zoning District J happens to be the zoning district across from the park on Village Green, and I've never received a complaint for any of those tenants from the residents of the park.
You're talking about those office buildings?
Correct. A lot of those have 1/3 to 2/3 warehousing, light fabrication, etc.
Any other questions? Thank you, Christian. Looking for a motion on the ordinance.
I move to approve ordinance number 2018-13.
I second.
There's been a motion second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. That'll bring us back to item 3 on our agenda this evening. Thank you, Deborah, and members of our P&Z meeting, or committee. Consider resolution number 2018-34, authorizing the city to apply for a grant from the Texas Water Board Development. Fire Chief Mark Bitts.
Mayor and council, we're asking for permission to apply for a grant through the Texas Water Development Board for a Sentry siren, otherwise known as a tornado siren, to be installed around the Carol Fox Park. This siren will be able to have voice and noise emitting approximately 1.5 miles. We're looking for 50% of the cost coverage from the Texas Water Development Board. The deadline to apply for this grant is in middle of July, so we'll have it completed with your permission. We're asking for $15,475. The total cost for the siren and installation is $30,950.
Any questions for Chief? Chief, I've got a question. I'm looking at the coverage map on this siren coverage. So I think you mentioned you would have it at Carol Fox, is that correct? Which is pretty much the center of District A. Is that placement because it would basically capture the areas of the city that have historically been flood prone?
That is correct, Mayor.
So in other words, we wouldn't need a second siren for other areas outside of the city because they're not necessarily in a flood area.
I think we'd still be able to use the reverse 911 for those areas not in coverage. It takes about 3 hours for reverse 911 to go through the majority of the homes, and we're looking for something that'll be quicker for the areas that are flood prone. So we can still use the reverse 911 to make phone calls to areas like Lakes of Jersey Village or the apartment complexes. Those are not as prone to flooding.
So these sirens, is this an issue and a technology that a lot of other cities are having to gravitate towards? Say, for instance, areas in Tornado Alley areas and other areas in which there may be a natural disaster and this reverse 911 is becoming less and less effective. Is this something that other cities are having to deal with?
I'm not sure about the reverse 911. I know the city of Katy has just installed one of these. It's something that several citizens have brought up as an option, and I think it's a great option. I think, within 5 minutes we can notify people within a mile to a mile and a half. It's voice activated. We can tell them flooding, tornado. We can tell them shelter in place. They can have different tones, up to 6 of them. So I think it's just something that can be used all the way around for different items.
So is it just tone based, or is there actual instructions that can be broadcasted out?
Yes, it's tone and voice, so we can tell them this is a drill, and we can run through all the sirens. We can do tornado. We can say this is a tornado, take shelter, so they can hear actually what we're talking about.
So if we're doing a fire drill, everybody has to leave their house and line up on the block and line? Is that what we have to do?
Probably won't be one of the options.
So are you saying that for 1.5 miles, the voice will carry?
That's correct.
I'm sorry, were you done, Gary? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Since I'm going to be living about 5 houses down from this gigantic siren, is there going to be a little advance notice for testing?
Sure, we would put it in the Star, give JV email updates. It'll be done every quarter is my thought on that.
My concern is this. I was thinking the same thing. So I'm looking at the stats on this, 148 decibels, and I had to kind of remind myself of examples of different decibel levels. According to this source, 150 decibels, just slightly above that, is the sound of a jet takeoff at 25 meters, and the effect on a human apparently is eardrum rupture. Do we have any concerns about people being near this thing when it goes off?
I haven't thought of any concerns. I guess my thought was just notifying the people at 3 a.m. that we have flooding, and they don't get the notification till 6.
I see the importance. It's just I want to make sure that kids at the park playing on the awesome new boat are not just blasted with it for a test. When there's danger, I highly doubt there'll be kids at the park when there's a flood event. But testing is really. I lived in Frisco for a while, and they have these sirens for tornado warnings, and even the announcement for the test was really sudden and shocking. and that was in a city. And so in a residential area, I just would want to maybe think about some procedures, some processes in place that would give a heads up so that someone's not taken off guard by 148 decibels.
Yeah, we'll certainly add that to procedure, make it a point to, before the test, we go out there and make sure everybody that's in the area is aware the test is going to happen and give them the option to leave.
Thank you.
Make sure there's not a center point man up in a bucket next to it.
Any other questions for Chief? Okay, looking for a motion on the resolution.
I move we approve resolution number 2018-34.
I'll second.
There's been a motion second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. Item 4, consider resolution number 2018-35, authorizing the city manager to submit the grant application to Texas General Land Office for the Berm and Wall Street neighborhood projects and committing to funding necessary to the necessary project cost share. Austin, please.
Recently, the city has submitted our application to TDM for the HMGP grant. That program requires a 25% local match. However, the state is allowing the use of CDBG funds to serve as that match. From the 2016 tax day floods, the city has tentatively allocated $1,792,344 in CDBG funds. The 25% cost share for the HMGP grant request would be $1.5 million. The staff is proposing we apply for the CDBG funds and utilize them towards the match that's required. The project is for the berm and the Wall Street neighborhood drainage projects. Flood and drainage facilities are a high priority for the CDBG funds. The long-term flood recovery plan that the city undertook has helped us to identify these projects based upon the H&H modeling and the citizen input that was received throughout the project. So these are both pieces that make our project a great candidate for funding. Study would also give us a good cost estimate for these projects, which we've been able to use to create these grant applications. So the cost share of this project for this grant would be the 75% of the project, which is the $4.67 million. While we certainly hope we receive the TDM grant, in the event we do not receive it, but we do receive the CDBG funds, we would need to provide that cost share. So tonight we're recommending that council authorize us to apply for these CDBG funds.
All right, questions for Austin?
Austin, there's a lot of information there. I want to just make sure that I'm understanding it right, that the recent long-term flood recovery plan we just did was extremely beneficial in this grant process, and it's going to help make sure that we're a likely candidate to be approved?
Absolutely. The H&H modeling that we did as part of the long-term flood recovery plan shows what damages homes would have received in a 50-year event or a 100-year event or a 500-year event. That information has certainly been key in showing how much we would save or how much property would be saved in the event of a flood event. So things like this drainage project, the berm project, we can quantify the damages that we would reduce in these events, which makes the benefit-cost ratio all that much more apparent to FEMA or HUD, depending upon the funding source, which is the magical number that we have to have. We have to show that it's at least one. It's at least a 1 on a scale of cost benefit.
Glad we made that investment.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Austin, can you explain that $4,671 amount was 75% of the project, the cost share? I mean, I thought, is that saying that the TDM is only going to pay for 25%, or?
The total cost of the project is about $6.2 million. So the 25% is what we're applying for with the CDBG funds. The 75% is what we applied for with the TDM funds.
So this is basically to use block grants to cover the 25% match that we would have otherwise had to come up with.
Correct.
If we are awarded the TDEM grant.
Correct. So taking the project as a whole was roughly $6.2 million. We applied for the TDM funds, which is 75%. We're also applying for this CDBG funds, which is 25% of the cost. We'll see if we get the grant awards. If we get both of them, great. Then we've got 100% of the project covered by grant funds. If we get none of them, then that is what it is. If we get one but not the other, then we have to provide the cost share. So that's how it breaks down.
And just to be clear, we have already budgeted for the last, since the tax day flood, we've put aside about $6 million.
We have $2 million in the current fiscal year. We have another $2 million that we're earmarking for the upcoming fiscal year. So we'd have $4 million set aside.
Okay, thank you.
Another way of phrasing that, Andrew, is that our flood recovery projects are not dependent on these grants. We're going to go forward with
Right.
flood mitigation regardless. However, if we can get grant money to ease the city's burden and the city's share, that would be fantastic. And so therefore, I heartily agree and, agree with this proposal.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that you found another source of grant money to cover 100% of the projects as opposed to just the 75%.
Correct. We're hopeful that we'll receive the grant.
Any other questions? Seeing none, looking for a motion on the resolution.
I move we approve Resolution 2018-35.
Second.
There's been a motion second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. Item 5, consider resolution number 2018-36, authorizing the city manager to submit the grant application to PetSmart Bark for Your Park Grant to add park amenities. Jason Alfaro, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Honorable Mayor, Councilors, we're currently working on the construction of the dog park, and as we look to improve our parks and use outside resources where available, we'd like to apply for a $5,000 grant from PetSafe as part of their Bark for Your Park grant program. They award 13 communities each year with funding to not only break ground on new parks, but to also help maintain and upgrade existing parks. We would be requesting the funds to help add some agility features to the dog park, and if awarded funds, we would need to put up some signage for the dog park at the dog park that includes the PetSafe brand name and logo. It's a good opportunity for the city to apply for grant funds to help add more features to the new addition of the dog park. We're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2018-36, authorizing city manager to submit the grant application to PetSmart Bark for Your Park grant to add dog park amenities.
Any questions for Jason?
Yeah, as far as the signs go, are they going to have any limitations on size or any concerns for our ordinances?
Nothing for the ordinances. It's just simply a logo and their name that has to be at least seen for the amenities.
I'm concerned about how big the sign might be.
Right. No, nothing would affect as far as our sign ordinance goes. It would just be something that we would put on top of with our dog park rules.
So it would be compliant with our sign ordinance provisions.
Jason, how's the dog park construction coming along?
It's coming along pretty good. We had some hiccups with the flood control district. We had approval from the flood division, but then we were told to get approval from a watershed division, which we are currently in the process right now.
So we're still on track for July?
Yes, sir. Yep. Construction is ready. They're ready to go. Amenities are on the way.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions for Jason? Looking for a motion on the resolution.
I move to approve Resolution 2018-36.
I'll second.
There's been a motion second. There's been a motion second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item 6, consider resolution number 2018-37, also authorizing the city manager to execute a Wells One commercial card agreement with Wells Fargo Bank National Association. Isabel Cato, Director of Finance.
Yes, good evening. Currently, almost all payments to vendors for services and products are made by manual city checks. In order to make our accounts payable operation more efficient, staff look into making the majority of our vendor payments through a process called commercial card or P-cards. By using this process, each department will pay vendors with a credit card. All credit cards will be paid electronically each month. Staff will be responsible for accounting for their purchases via the payment authorization process. In order to effect the program, the City of Jersey Village was approved $400,000 line of credit by our depository bank, Wells Fargo, where Fargo will work with our vendors and with Tyler Technology in order to assist the city with the conversion of this program. In addition to making our accounts payable process more efficient, the commercial card program offers greater rewards through the revenue share program. These rewards come to the city in the form of actual dollars. Furthermore, the payment outsourcing through this program is a great addition to our business continuity plan. In the event of a declared emergency in the Houston area, purchases for needed city services and products can be made without interruption because all payments are transmitted to Central Wells Fargo Hub for processing. Since this service was not part of our original depository contract, that's the reason staff is respectfully requesting that City Council authorize the city manager to sign this contract with Wells Fargo.
Any questions for Isabel?
Isabel, we run across a lot of these P cards with a lot of our customers, and for us, it's when we process a transaction, it's just like processing a credit card. So we'll pay 2 3/4 or 3% surcharge. When it all filters through, we're paying a premium to accept these. So as a vendor, we will often limit the amount that our customers can place on a credit card or on a P card. So my only point in saying all that is that at some point somebody pays for it. So the rebates that we receive back or the privilege of using this card carries a fee, and you're not supposed to surcharge, but a lot of people still surcharge a credit card at 3% or 4%. So I would just caution you to keep an eye on that as we go down the road. The other part of that is do we have credit cards now, the city credit cards?
Yes.
And so you enter those transactions, you enter each transaction.
Yeah, when each department has 2 or 3 credit cards, but instead of sending the payments by checks, we pay online the credit card payments through our Wells Fargo website.
Right, but then you break out that credit card and assign the cost to each GL code?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes. Yeah,
And so
that's
you'll
how
do
we
the
it.
same on this? Does that
Yeah.
entail any more man hours or probably just a little more accounting time?
Well, actually, with this service, what we're envisioning is that each department make their own purchases, but we have to think about a way that we're going to keep having the payment authorization. I want to keep the paper trail for audit services purposes, but each department will make their own payments, and then we will enter the payments in accounts payable. Yeah, like we do now, but instead of issuing checks, we will pay with the credit cards. The thing is that usually when we have now manual checks, so there's only 4 signatures that are authorized in the bank, which is Lori, the city manager, the mayor pro tem, and I. If one of us, and we require 2 signatures in the checks, so if one of us or 2 of us are on vacation, like in Christmas, then I will have to bother the mayor or the mayor pro tem to come and sign the checks. So we already converted almost all our payments for payroll and direct deposit, so which is great. But for the vendors, we have to still issue checks every 2 weeks. Actually, we have 5 signatures, authorized signatures, not 4.
That sort of gets to one of my concerns, something I wanted to make sure that was clarified. Obviously the double signature is a control to ensure that there's no one person that has the ability to issue those checks. Is there any concern about losing that control under this new system, or are there any procedures that we're putting in place that might help to offset any risk created by that?
So you will have the capability of limiting the amount of purchases that can be made on the individual P cards. So whatever the current city purchasing policy is, it will be consistent with the current purchasing policy and the authorizations that have to be in place in order to make the purchase in the first place.
Okay, that answers my question.
Shared the same concern, and thank you, Greg, for bringing this up, because as I was reviewing this, I'm seeing a reduction in postage or reduction in fraud possibilities at 0 cost to the city, and I'm wondering where's the catch? So the surcharge makes sense.
The vendor pays for it. Yeah. And they pay a premium. And like I said, over a certain amount, you will be limited to the extent that you can use that card. We've had people try to pay $100,000, $200,000 on a P card. Like, no.
I think in that case, like big amounts like that, then we have to go through ACH or wire. Yeah, like when we have payments like that, it's through ACH or wire, not by
So
checks.
you're looking at this more as just a normal course of business, not expenditures out of the ordinary or extraordinary expenditures?
That's correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And going towards our transparency efforts and having the check register online, I know that some people may think of a check register as literally a register of the checks, but I assume that the accounting program, if it's all being accounted for through specific line items, each purchase will also appear in the check register, even though there's not truly a check.
Yes, actually, part of the check register that it's on the website shows also payments that we do, because we have payments now through ACH and wire. They are part of the check register. So they're there with the description on what we're paying and the amounts.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion on the resolution.
I make a motion we approve resolution 2018-37.
I'll second.
There's been a motion, seconds, any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item 7, consider resolution number 2018-38, authorizing action for the 2018-2019 health insurance plan year by renewing health insurance plans with Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Employee Benefits Pool at the best possible rate with current plan with renewal date of October 1st. Terlina Collins, Human Resources Manager.
Good evening. So yes, we did receive our current re-rates for the 2018-2019 year. They did come in at 7% over our current rates, which is actually really well compared to other cities. And so what we're asking for is to basically just move forward with keeping TML IABP with the best current rates for next year. And we're also asking to move change our renewal to a October 1 instead of a January 1. There is no hindrance to the employees to that. Everything is their FLSA, and their deductibles will still run on an annual calendar basis. The only thing this would be doing to make it a little bit easier for us to budget in health insurance for fiscal purposes.
All right, any questions for Terlina or staff?
So just to clarify, city policies, or not really policy, but basically when we do this every year with TML, if it comes back at 10% or less, it's pretty much seen as a standing policy to move forward with it. We came back at 7%, and it looks like you spoke to other cities, and it looks like 7% is a pretty good rate for what we're getting.
So I did speak to those within the pool and with outside of the pool. Within the pool is actually extremely normal. Those outside of the pool are seeing extremely higher re-rates for next year, some almost 15, close to 20%.
In terms of other cities in their policy periods, I'm not a big fan of mid-year transitions on health insurance plans. I prefer a calendar year because it's easier for the employee to track their deductible and track their expenses and FSLA, whatever it is. But my preference is to say calendar. I understand for budgeting purposes it's easier, but I think that's a smaller part of a larger issue. My preference, and maybe a little feedback from you guys as far as staff. Have you had any feedback from staff as to go to a fiscal rather than a calendar year renewal?
So what I did is I spoke with the cities within my HR group, some who are on a July renewal and some who are also on an October renewal. It's pretty standard. Some of them are actually pretty normal. A lot of the cities also actually operate on a 10-1, but for whatever their fiscal budget is. So those who have a fiscal budget of July operate on a July, and some who have a fiscal budget for October operate on an October. But the IBP.org account, which the employees have access to 24/7, does keep a running period of their deductibles on a calendar basis, and it will always stay up to date for them to monitor when they're reaching those deductibles.
In fact, did I hear you correctly? You said that the deductible year would not change, just the payment?
Right. So the only thing we're just changing is when they sign up for it and when the year starts. But the deductible $1,250 is January 1 to December 31.
But your policy changes, if you change policies in your deductible, again, my preference, I don't hear a compelling reason to change it to a fiscal year versus a calendar year. My preference would be to maintain it a calendar year. Austin, do you have a preference?
From a budgeting standpoint, I think it's definitely a lot easier to go with a fiscal year. Look at the historicals. We changed health insurance plans last year. Before that, it was 10 years since the city had changed anything with deductibles. If you don't change deductibles or anything like that, the employees, the only change they see is they're filling out the paperwork in August rather than November.
Right,
So-
and so rather than trying to max out their deductible in November, December, they're trying to max out their deductible in June and July and August. No, I'm sorry, that's different. That's the opposite.
Deductibles still run calendar year.
Right.
So right now,
Deductible stayed the same, so it would not affect us. We stayed at a $1,250 deductible, the same out-of-pocket maximum, everything remains the same.
Right.
The current is at plan, just 7% higher increase.
so basically what we're talking about is employees signing up or making changes and signing up in October instead of January.
I'll be running annual enrollment around August to September.
And personally, I think that's a little bit better than trying to do it during holiday season. Because the last company I worked for, trying to get people to sign anything over the holidays is not good.
It was a bit hard to just assure that I reminded them before you take vacation or before you you run off to visit family that you come in and make your changes on your health insurance, because I don't want you to lose that empowerment to make that decision for yourself.
So if you convert from a January to a July, is it July or October?
October.
Is TML giving us a 18-month renewal, or how are we going to transition to?
So what happens is, we'll see for these 3 months, you'll see that 7% increase kick in for those 3 months. But we already budget that in because we budget in for the difference between those 3 months and the 9 months for the next year. So you'll see that 7% increase, but you'll see it kick in for October 1.
But I guess my question is, do we have still have a 12-month contract, or do we have a
It is still a 12-month
15-month contract?
No, it's a 12-month contract.
So am I understanding you correctly, we would actually pay 7% more for 3 months worth of health insurance here? I'm confused.
The rate increases would be effective for 10/1, otherwise it would be effective for January 1. So at some point, we're going to have to renew our health insurance, and so those rate increases would happen at whenever we do that.
Because we're renewing 3 months early. And
So the new rates don't go into effect until January 1st?
no, it would be October.
But
It'd be October 1st.
let's assume we did not change the dating on this. For October, November, and December of this year, would we pay the higher rates, or would we pay what we're currently paying under our contract?
Currently paying on the contract, but we also would not have this 7% hard number for October. It would only be a soft number renewal for January. Right now, I can secure 7% by moving forward, or I can leave it to chance at having that number increase according to the claims that are coming in through the pool, through those months. So I would strongly suggest us not taking that chance.
Even if we didn't, I think it's smart to move to October 1. Next year, we'd be in the same position. You would get a quote that you'd be renewing early.
There's a cost in transition, and it's probably, we're probably paying $120,000, $130,000 a month in health insurance premiums?
Yeah, about 120,000. No, actually 106,000 to be secure.
106. So we have a $22,000 conversion charge, basically. And it takes the risk out of the premium loss ratio going up over the next 3 or 4 months. Yeah, I don't necessarily like the 21,000, but I think at some point you do have to bite the bullet to make it happen.
21,000 can be ate up by one employee on a family plan.
I agree.
It's not
I agree.
really a thing of cost that we want to consider in such a changing decision.
So if we're hearing you correct, Traylon, if we were to change to a fiscal year, the employees themselves are not going to see any difference themselves. Is that correct?
No, because I've already secured the exact same plan for this year, and there's no change in deductible. They will not see a difference. Only thing they will have to do is enroll earlier this year.
The sooner the better, right? Any other questions? All right, looking for a motion on the resolution.
Council move forward authorizing action for 2018-2019 health insurance plan year by renewing the TML Intergovernmental Employees Benefits Pool insurance policy. Is that good?
That's fine.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion, second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item 8, consider resolution number 2018-39, awarding the bid and authorizing the city manager to enter a contract with R&B Group Incorporated for the city's Castlebridge Wastewater Treatment Plant Clarifier Addition and Improvements Project. Kevin T. Hagerich, Director of Public Works.
On May 22nd, 2018, the city Jersey Village engineer, Brookston Sparks, along with city staff, received bid documents related to the city's Castlebridge Wastewater Treatment Plant Clarifier Addition and Improvement Project. R&B was a low bidder, submitting a bid of $1,523,524. The city engineer has reviewed the bid proposal, and the recommendation of Frank Brooks is to select R&B Group as the contractor for the Castlebridge Wastewater Treatment Plant Clarifier Addition and Improvement Projects. What's in front of you is a request from the staff to approve resolution number 2018-39.
All right, questions for Kevin?
Kevin, what do you know about R&B Group?
They've been around for over 20 years. I've worked with them before.
Is it on? Anyway, I've worked with them before. They're capable of getting this job done.
So they're not likely to seriously underbid a project and
No, make it up with change
cut
orders.
their costs later and give us shoddy work.
Let's just remember that this is an old plant. There's no telling what we may run into, okay? This is an old plant. There may be things that we can't see that are underwater, but nonetheless, they're a very capable contractor. I'd rather have these guys than anybody else that bid.
And council member, you will have your payment and performance bonds to back up the performance of the contractor for this work.
We'll have what?
The performance bond is a bond that if they default on the contract in terms of the performance of the work, we have a surety that would have to step in and finish the job to the contract specifications.
Yeah, I'd rather not go through that process.
That's just the fallback. I just wanted to make sure you knew that we have that in place.
Is this, Frank, is this kind of a routine project, end of life situation that we're upgrading or replacing, or the improvements here?
No, the plant was built back, 30-something years ago. It was built by a developer who, just put in the lease that he had to get away with. This is the mud district that we annexed. And it was built with one clarifier. That clarifier has been operating by itself all those years with no maintenance. And we're on borrowed time. We're going to build a new clarifier, and that way we can take that one down, refurbish it. We'll have basically 2 new clarifiers to continue operation at the plant. The other thing, we're installing 2 blowers. We found that the plant was deficient in blower capacity, and that affects the quality of our effluent to stay within permit and not get fined. So we're adding those blowers also in the motor control center to handle those blowers.
Is this plant?
Also, the plant has to stay in operation as the construction's going on. So there's bypass pumping. There's going to be a lot of work to keep it in permit while we do this work, and this is an ideal time to do it during the summer. Our flows are down.
Is this the plant that services the ETJ? If the ETJ were to be annexed and developed out, would this be the plant that would serve that area?
Correct, yes.
Yes.
This might be a better question for Leah, but This is a very complex project. As you've talked about, it's 30 years old. There's a lot of unknowns going into this. This contract gives them 150 calendar days to complete the work. If they fail to meet the 150 days, does the performance bond kick in for that?
We extended that time, I believe, is at 280 days now.
As far as the way...
Okay, extended, but if they violate that, what happens? Because I don't see that in this contract.
So in terms of what the cause of the delay is, it would really determine whether or not the delay was caused by the contractor or by conditions that were beyond their control. For example, if there was something discovered that they needed a decision from the city as to whether or not there needed to be a change order to address that issue that's discovered, that would not be at a loss to them, meaning that that would be an excused delay, basically. So it's really depends on the circumstances. And if for whatever reason they walked off the job for some reason, yes, the performance bond would cover that.
We have liquidated damages in the contract beyond the time. And we give them extra days for inclement weather, extended inclement weather, not just a rain. And so we keep tabs on that every time they turn in a pay request.
I was just going to ask regarding the bid process and bid evaluation. I assume we're required by state law to take the lowest bid, period. In other words, is there any technical weighting of this in any way?
We are not required to take the lowest bid, so I don't want that to get out there. We have to also look at what is the responsible bid. So I'll turn it over to Frank here.
We look at the bidders' past performance, how long have they been doing this, what their staff is made up of, if they're capable of doing the job. In this case, these guys have been around for long enough. I know a bunch of them, and so we didn't have to get in deep with exactly their qualifications. But yeah, I have no problem at all recommending them for this project.
And do we take into account what they ask for, or what the terms of the contract in terms of, I don't know, in terms of indemnities or anything of that sort? Is there any of that factors into how we evaluate the bids?
Right, so we actually did have a legal review of the contract documents, and of course, both parties have to agree to the terms of the contracts. We want to make sure that the terms are consistent with other construction contracts that we enter into.
Okay, so we basically tell them you take it or leave it on the terms.
Not quite like that, but we offer the language that we would like to see. Usually we redline the contract, and if they either accept those changes, or on occasion they may propose different language, but at this point we have come to an agreement on the language.
I have asked them already if they had any issues with the contract, and they said no.
Okay. I just taking my experience from the private sector, where all of that comes into account in terms of trying to get everyone on the same page in terms of so you're comparing apples to apples. In other words, we're looking at one bid that's only slightly more, and if there's more favorable contract terms, maybe it's worth it. Something along those lines. I just want to make sure we're accounting for all that.
Number 3 bidder, I always call those a courtesy bid.
Fair enough.
Any other questions for Frank or staff? Very good. Thanks, guys. Looking for a motion on the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-39.
Second.
There's been a motion second. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Abstain. One abstention. Motion carries. Item 9, consider resolution number 2018-40, appointing a director to fill the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2009 for position 1 on the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Board for the City of Jersey Village. Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone number 2. Lori Cootie.
Yes, Mayor, this item is to appoint a member to the TERS board for position number 1 for the unexpired term. When Councilmember Singleton took his position as on the council, he tendered his resignation for that position. There were a couple of applicants in the packet, and this item is to make that appointment for the unexpired term.
Okay, very good. Considering James Singleton did not want to be on the TERS and council at the same time, we'll have to appoint somebody else. We've got 2 applicants for us, Andrea Grimm, Brian Ingledow. Looking for discussion and comment.
I know Andrea has been talked about before when she has applied for P&Z and was a runner-up before, and I would recommend that we look at Andrea Grimm for this position.
I agree. Her application has come up for P&Z and TERS multiple times, and it's been difficult not to put her in those positions, and I think it's definitely the best fit.
She meets my qualifications.
And I have to concur. I mean, even aside of the fact that she's had her application in several times, her application is very strong for this position, and I highly recommend her as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the real estate experience is extremely helpful. So I think she would make a great member of the TERS board.
Looks like I'm seeing pretty much unanimity for Andrea Grimm. So I'm going to ask for a motion on Resolution 2018-40 with Andrea Grimm as the appointed liaison to serve on the, the appointed commissioner to serve on the tax increment reinvestment zone.
I move to approve resolution number 2018-40, appointing Andrea Grimm as a director to fill the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2019 for position 1 on the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Board for the City of Jersey Village Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone number 2.
That's second.
There's been a motion second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. That'll actually conclude the regular agenda this evening. We'll actually move into mayor and comments. Councilman Rubenhorst. Do you want me to repeat that?
No, I can't think of any comments.
But I got no comment tonight.
No comment.
None for me.
No comment.
Well, I guess it's up to me to say something then. No, a couple of comments. Thank you, everybody, for your work tonight. Thank you, staff. I want to commend Officer Blake McElhaney again. If you guys haven't had a chance to read the Chronicle article on his efforts, they were quite the definition of heroic, and he was actually one of the only non-Harris County Sheriff's Department officers to be to receive a citation. So congratulations to him as well. And I just want to commend everybody from staff and council that we're tackling a lot of this important infrastructure improvements that we have going on, whether it be the Castle Bridge project or the Taylor Road facilities. We've got a lot of facilities that we need to focus on, evaluate, and improve upon. I want to appreciate and applaud everybody for taking that initiative. And lastly, everybody, be looking forward to some great events coming up in our community in the next couple months. By all means, I encourage everybody to come out to our July 4th parade. It's always a good time. I look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you, staff. Thank you, council. Thank you, citizens, for your comments this evening. I have no more to add. Meeting adjourned.